Hello there. Um, Welcome to my channel, I guess I can say that. And yeah, I want to ramble a little bit today. And as I'm doing so, I will be flipping through Los Carabeo's beautiful pre-raphaelite tarot. So this is a deck that I've used quite a bit, so it's a little chipped. But it's really beautiful. Those are all oil paintings, so none of it is digital art. And they have been painted exquisitely well. And there are also lots of clever art history and literary references for those who are nerdy. So I want to talk about what it means and do we really need our readings to resonate with us. I hope I'm not too harsh. I know I can be sometimes. I'll try to be nice, although I apologize in advance, my language is a little bit... Let's just say that I don't mince words when maybe I should. So before I ran into the online tarot world, it never actually occurred to me that readings should resonate or that anyone kind of expects that. For me, a reading is what it is. Sometimes I have strong feelings about it. Sometimes they can be good or they can be really negative. Sometimes readings leave me puzzled or indifferent. Predictions sometimes seem completely out of the left field, so I don't really know what they're on about. But it never occurred to me that they should be resonating in any way. In fact, I was under the impression that only particles do that. So I decided, when I was bored, to go and do some research online and try to figure out what is it that people mean when they say that things resonate with them. It appears that what people want is for tarot to sometimes confirm their worst fears, or indeed their hopes, as this card now just reminded me. And these are not necessarily even conscious. So sometimes cards, when people project onto the cards, they will put into words something that exists in their mind, but it's unconscious or was unconscious previously. And resonating seems to have something to do with validating that, or validating some of the thoughts that they may have. But again, these don't have to always be conscious. So that's what resonating seems to refer to. Now, I can completely understand this need, and I think it's very human, and I think these images are very easy to project into. But what bothers me there is that it kind of puts the self at the center of the world, or the reading at the very least. It assumes in a way that these random cards that fall on the table are there to tell us what we need to hear. I find this to be very problematic and even narcissistic. Not that, we live in a culture that really makes it easy for people to be narcissistic. So it's an external force, if you will. It's just the way the wheel is turning these days. I don't think it's something that we can just change. And it's very easy to be carried away by it, and we all are, to a greater or a smaller degree. But if you think of the cards as being merely a projective tool, and you use them to validate or invalidate your hopes and your fears, then you're just engaged in some kind of emotional masturbation, pardon me, because this is you conversing with your subconscious mind, telling it how awesome it is. It's kind of as pointless as trying to just endlessly pour liquid from one cup into another, to refer to the imagery here, because you're using your fears to validate your fears, or you're using your hopes to validate your hopes. So you're kind of trapped in this very resonant sense of this resonant kind of reading, but it's just a futile exercise in being stuck and running around in circles, because you never really exit your mind. So if you need something to resonate and you think it's psychological, it sure is, but it's just strengthening the problem instead of resolving it. If you think readings are messages from, I don't know, spirits, gods, whatever, the universe, I don't think that just kind of makes things a little worse, because then you seem to expect some very powerful and indifferent force to confirm your beliefs. And this seems, I will say, also narcissistic, arrogant even. So I don't think resonating is a good way to go about evaluating readings. For me, readings can be useful or useless, and that has nothing to do with whether they resonate. Of course, like everyone else, I have strong reactions to some readings. These can be really beautiful, or they can be terrifying, but I do have strong reactions. But I always have to remind myself that this is really just me reacting to something that is not about me. Just because I see the cards and feel good, it doesn't mean that it's about me, or that the universe is in any way trying to tell me something good. I still have to read, as Camellia Elias would say, the goddamn cards. My favorite readings are those that leave me emotionally perplexed. Those that kind of leave me confused, that I don't know what to do with. When a reading leaves me hanging, then I feel like I'm finally kind of detached from my mind. When a prediction works in a way that goes beyond whether I look forward to it or that I'm afraid of it, when it catches me off guard, when I feel paralyzed and don't know what to do, that's where I think that growth actually happens, because that's where my psyche is tricked, it's fooled. It feels neither validated nor invalidated. I feel like that's when I'm really reaching something true. As long as I'm drowning in my own feelings and can't see past them, I somehow feel I'm not taking full advantage, clinging to my feelings, right? Versus letting them go and focusing on the images themselves. Now that I see this card, I can't help but not start my sentence with, it's a lot of hard work to do that. But I think it's really important that as readers or recipients of readings, we move past this notion that we're supposed to be moved somehow. I think we're supposed to be dislodged, made uncomfortable or anxious, because that's where growth happens. And I'm sorry about the noise. I don't know if it'll register. That's where growth happens. Not when we are still drowning in our own projections. And I think a more important psychological reason why I think that we shouldn't pay attention to if readings resonate or not is because I don't think we should use we can do whatever we want, obviously, they're your cards, so use them for whatever purpose you want. But I don't think it's particularly healthy to use cards to just reinforce our sense of self. I don't think, oh God, this is almost, it's just so bizarre to reinforce our sense of self. I don't think cards should be there to tell me I'm awesome in every way. I don't think cards should be there to tell me that things will be as bad as I think. I think they should be there to help me exit my mind. And if I truly want to learn how to exit my mind, I have to learn how to read what's on the image and not what my subconscious mind or even conscious mind wants the image to be. I need to kind of learn to snap myself out of it, to look at things in a distinct way, to sort of penetrate the image and not get stuck on what resonates. I think one way to do that is to actually have a clear vision of how you want to read. What's your methodology? What technique do you want to use? And to not rely on intuition, because it's very difficult, and I would argue almost impossible, to separate intuition from projection. That is not to say, of course, that our gut feelings are worthless, because I don't think that. It's just that I think that we would all be helped if we gave ourselves the challenge to find evidence in the cards for everything we say about them. And that unless we can find evidence in the cards, it's not valid. I think intuition can be a really beautiful way to supplement what you see in the cards. But if you want to be able to separate your projection from let's say, a genuine intuitive insight, you should be able to find evidence in the cards. I understand that this requires perhaps a degree of rigor that not everyone wants, and at the end of the day, I'm not the one to tell people what to do. It's just that I feel that it's a shame that we don't use tarot to really emancipate ourselves from our psyche, and instead to use it to trap ourselves into it. You don't want to be running in the same circles over and over again. You want to move on, start a new journey. So it doesn't matter if you're doing psychological readings, if you're doing predictive readings, descriptive readings, prescriptive readings, if you're asking for advice. I suggest that unless you have evidence in the cards, don't take it into account. By all means, listen to your feelings, but then reject everything that's not here. Or maybe journal about everything that's not here, if you're into journaling, because that's a really good insight into your own biases and maybe unconscious expectations. So overall, I'm looking at the time and it's been almost 15 minutes. Overall, I think when we ask the readings to resonate, that's a really difficult, dangerous, even slippery slope that really leaves us in the dark. It leaves the sun card that leaves us in the dark, because it doesn't illuminate what the actual content of our minds is. It doesn't remove us from our own mind. So I guess that's all I had to say, is that if you want to use tarot to grow or get accurate predictions or advice, then do the heavy lifting. Really use the cards. Don't just wait there for the cards to confirm what you think must be true. So I guess that's it. Thank you for listening, and see you some other time.